Uh, Good day all. Today our group would like to present our work about the main character reveal conflict of racial discrimination, a study of psychoanalysis approach of our mini research assignment. The first chapter will be presented by Ihud Rotua Manalu, and the second chapter will be presented by Muhammad Ridwan Lubis, and the third chapter will be presented by Arifin Malwidi, and the last chapter will be presented by me, Ranis Tumorang. Praise to God Almighty for the blessing of His grace and guidance, we was able to complete the text of this mini research assignment on time. This assignment is a literature study subject due to complete the one of the four texts that given by Ma'am Rita Hartati as the literature study course lecturer. Thanks are also extended to all those people who doing this assignment. We realize that in the preparations and writing there are still many mistakes, therefore the author apologizes for the errors and imperfections that readers find in this paper. The author also hopes for criticism and suggestions from the readers if they find deficiency in this paper. Medan, 20 November 2021, the authors. The first chapter will be explained by Ihud Manalu. To Ihud, the time is yours.
Chapter 1, Introduction. A background of the study. Racism is the doctrine which emphasizes the importance of main characteristics of race, which is used as a standard to make interaction between individuals and groups. Racism is the popular problem on the country. There are many kinds of racism, such as in America. Usually, racism is used to differentiate between white and black skins. It makes black skins life uncomfortable. One movie that gives imagery of social lives is The Help. It is one of the most popular racial movies in America. The Help movie is an American drama film directed by Tati Taylor. It is released on August 10, 2011 on Blu-ray disc, DVD, and digital. It represented Jackson in 1960s. The movie is adapted of Catherine Stockett's novel 2009 with the same name. This film has three biggest actors: Viola Davis as Evelyn Clark, Octavia Spencer as Minnie Jackson, and Emma Stone as Skeeter. The movie uses English language and the duration 146 minutes. The Help became the best movie on the box office for 29 days in a row, and eventually because nearly 200 million tickets were sold in the worldwide. In the Help movie, racial discrimination is shown by the white woman who become the employer toward the black woman who become the maid. There is the problem between black people and white people. Skeeter requests Evelyn and her friends to help her make books about the treatment from their employers. The book becomes bestseller. The employers buy and read the book. They are very angry. In the research, the authors would like to find out racial discrimination as seen in The Help film by Ted Taylor. The writers takes the data from the film that's The Help film. The writers also use script of the film to help this analysis. The writers hopes this research will develop the ability and give additional information and knowledge to the writer and the readers, especially to the students and lecturers in English literature department who wants to watch the film, even who wants to analyze the same film. B. The purpose of the study. The Help is a film that depicts the helpers to the black race and white people fighting discrimination and racism by white employers. The study aims to see how forms of resistance to the regime are depicted in the film The Help. The authors also try to answer this following question. 1. What problems are studied about the description of regime? 2. Who judged the figures who played this film? 3. This year's film is published. 4. What could they use in researching this incident? 5. Then what is the subject of this film research? 6. Who is the suspect in the case in the film? C. The scope of the study. The studies focus on analyzing Catherine Stuckett's The Help in representing Black people's life in Jackson, Mississippi. As mentioned before, Catherine Stuckett is a white author who writes Black people's life experience in her novel. She attempts to voice to Black people's life through their perspective and sharing their ideas on racial discrimination which they experience. The way Stockett voice is the Black, males, and the stereotype issues are explored in the research in order to have the depiction of two different races in Mississippi in 1916 as this research scrutinizes whether Stockett really represents our anti-racist attitude in the Help. In chapter 3, this thesis mini and scatter enggak sih? Oh, salah. In the chapter 3, this thesis analyzes how Stockett represents the Black males in her novel from the perspective of Abilene, Minnie, and Scatter, and the stereotype image as Black males in the segregated society, Mississippi. In chapter 4, the writer analyzes the narration of the novel which represent anti-racist attitude from the author. The analysis includes the position of the white protagonist Scatter as the important character of the novel and also other Black woman characters created by Stockett. The analysis is going to reveal the meaning of the hell that is portrayed in the novel. Furthermore, the discussion elaborates the love in the fantasy of white people that is created by Stockett throughout her novel. As the main theory, this thesis applies Black feminist theories, especially Bell Hooks' idea on Black feminism. It is also supported by other theories from Patricia Hill Collins, Hans Day, Richard Dyer, and several others. Next, chapter 2 by Muhammad Ridwan Lubis.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is chapter 2, the summary. Ivy Land is a Black woman who works for a white family, the Lee Fords. My Mobley Lee Fords is 2 years old and Ivy Land considers the girl her special baby. My Mobley is physically abused and neglected by her mother, Elizabeth. Ivy Land does all she can to boost my Mobley's self-esteem and tries to teach her about civil rights and racial equality. Ivy Land's own son, Thriller, dies senselessly in a workplace accident same months before Ivy Land began working for the Lee Fords. Ivy Land observed the bridge game being played today at the Lee Fords. In attendance are Hilly Holbrook and Eugenia Scatter Phelan, Elizabeth Lee Ford's best friend, who are all in their early 20s. Like Elizabeth, Hilly tells Scatter she's working to have a law passed that would make it majority for white families to build outside bedrooms for their Black employees. Scatter suggests Hilly should have a bedroom outside, and thus begins a slow building feud between the two women. After the bridge game, Scatter apologized to Ivy Land about the bedroom talk. On the bus home, Ivy warns her best friend, 36 years old Minnie Jackson, who takes care of Haley's mother, Miss Walter, that Haley is calling Minnie a thief. Miss Walter is going to a nursing home, and Minnie's been trying to find a new job. Now she knows why no one has hired her. She tells Ivy she did something terribly to Haley, something involving a pie, but she won't say what. Several days later, Minnie finds work at the home of Johnny and Celia Ray Footy. Johnny is Haley's ex and Celia Ray Footy is from deep in the country. She is shunned by the high society ladies throughout the novel. Celia makes Minnie promise to keep her life a secret from her husband Johnny, causing Minnie much stress. After the bridge game at the Leafords, Scatters goes home to Longleaf, her family's cotton plantation. We learn that during Scatter's senior year at college, Constantine, her family's mate and Scatter's best friend and confidant for some 20 years, mysteriously disappeared. Nobody will tell Scatters why, though. We find out Scatter is in contact with an editor at a publishing house in New York, Eleni State. This state encouraged Scatter to get any job she can find at a newspaper and then use her free time trying to find something controversial to write about. Scatter scores a job at the Jackson Journal writing the Miss Merman column, a column about housework and relationships. Two things she knows nothing about. With Elizabeth's reluctant permission, Scatter starts meeting with a villain to get answers to the question readers send in. Scatters learned that a villain's son, Traylor, was writing a book about his experience in Mississippi at the time of his death. This inspires Scatter to try to convince the local mates to be interviewed for a book that will show their point of view. Haley sets Scatter up on a blind date with Stuart Whiteworth, the senator's son. Stuart gets drunk and insults Scatter. She never wants to see him again. In December, Minnie is discovered by Johnny Foote, her employer's husband. She's terrified of what he'll do to her, a strange black woman in his bedroom. Johnny realizes his wife Celia has helped as soon as the cooking improves. He's glad Minnie is here. Johnny asks Minnie to pretend that he doesn't know about her though. Ivy and avid writer agrees to work with Scatter on the book about the life of the Maid of Jackson, and they begin spending their evenings together. Eventually, Minnie also agrees to work with them. Ivy tries to get other maids involved, but they are all too frightened. Scatter steals a pamphlet from the library that lists Jim Crow laws. 3 months after their third date, Scatter and Stuart go out again and even share a passionate kiss. Stuart becomes a regular part of Scatter's life, though he doesn't know about her script writing project. In May of 1968, Celia was misread and revealed that it's her fault. She's afraid that if she can have babies, Johnny won't want her anymore. When Mimi tries to convince her that Johnny loves her, Celia realizes that Minnie and Johnny have met. She begs Minnie to pretend to Johnny that Celia doesn't know Johnny about Minnie. In July, Haley's maid, Yule May, steals one of her rings, which happened to be valueless and which Haley hates. Yuli has twin sons and she money sent both boys to college. When Hilly refused to loan her money, Yul stole the ring. Hilly found out and used her influence to make Yul pay the fine and sentenced to 4 years in the state penitentiary. Anger at Hilly over her treatment of Yulmei, plus a little persuasion from Minnie, convinced 11 more maids to tell their story to Scatter's book. Scatter and her family have dinner at Stuart's parents' home. At dinner, the topic keeps coming around the Stuart ex, Patrician Van de Vedder, who cheated on Stuart with a white civil rights activist. At the end of the evening, Stuart breaks up with Scatter. Hilly steals the list of Jim Crow law out of Scatter's bag and says she won't give them back until Scatter, editor of the Journal newspaper, print a notice about Hilly's bedroom project in the newsletter. Scatter does print the notice she allowed accidentally on purpose. Prints a notice telling people to drop off their old toilets on Hilly's lawn. Meanwhile, she hires some kids to deliver dozens of toilets to Hilly's place. Needless to say, Hilly is furious when she finds out Scatter is subsequently ostracized by the woman who used to be her friends. Abilene, Minnie, and the other men are afraid Hilly will find out that they are writing their stories and hurt them. At the Jackson's Junior League annual ball and benefit, Celia Foti gets very drunk and tries to get Hilly to escape her into the high society ladies circle. She ends up tearing Hilly's dress and vomiting on the floor. In the days that follow, Celia is depressed and is on the verge of leaving Johnny because she thinks she isn't good enough for him. Minnie convinces her to stay. During her last day of caring for Hilly's mother, Miss Walter, Minnie baked a chocolate pie with her output, and that Hilly ate 2 slices of the pie. This is why Hilly is trying so hard to ruin Minnie around town. Minnie convinced Scatter and Abilene that their best protection against Hilly, if their book comes out, is to include the pie story in Minnie's section. Even if Hilly recognizes the town as Jackson, she won't tell because the word means admitting to it too. In December, Scatter learns that Constantine, the maid who disappeared mysteriously from Scatter's life, is dead. After Constantine's daughter, Lula Bell, and Scatter's mother, Charlotte, got into a confrontation, Constantine was fired. She moved to Chicago with Lulu Bell and died 3 months later. Scatter gets part of the story from Abilene and part from her mother. Also, in December, Scatter and Stuart get back together. At the end of December, Scatter mailed the book manuscript, which contains the match stories and is called Help, to Ellen Stein in New York City. In January, Stuart proposed to Scatter. She says yes, but when she tells him about Help, he takes back his proposal. Also in January, Scatter, Abilene, Minnie, and the other mates learn that Help is going to be published. They wait with bated breath. When the book comes out, Hilly immediately suspects the book is set in Jackson and begins campaigning against the mites who she suspects are involved. But when she gets to the last chapter, Minnie's chapter, and read the 5 stories, she does an abrupt turn out and tells everyone she can that the book isn't about Jackson. Still, Haley confronts Scatter about her involvement in the book and vows revenge on Evelyn and Minnie. Scatter is offered a job in New York City, and Minnie and Evelyn convince her she must take it. Before she goes, Scatter arranges for Evelyn to take Scatter's old job writing the Miss Marine column. Meanwhile, Celia finally tells Johnny about the miscarriage and about Minnie. Johnny and Celia tells Minnie she has a new job with them for life. However, Haley arranged for Minnie's abusive husband, Leroy, to be fired and to be told that it's Minnie's fault. Leroy then tries to kill Minnie. She takes their 5 children, leaving Leroy and moving out of town. But still not far from her job with Celia, Haley still isn't satisfied, though, and prove to Elizabeth that Evelyn is the author of a chapter of her. Haley tries to frame Evelyn for stealing silver, but Elizabeth doesn't go along with her plan. She does fire Evelyn, though. After a tearful goodbye to May Mobley, Evelyn discovers she's about to start a new life, one in which she plans to spend writing about her life and the people she knows. That's it from the chapter 2 summary. Thank you. And the next one is chapter 3, will be present by Muhammad Arifin.
Okay, chapter 3 is the findings. A. Character and characterization. A. Major characters. The first one is Evelyn Clark. Evelyn Clark is first major character. She was born in Chickasaw, Piedmont Plantation in 1911. 11. She is from black people. Physically, her hair is curly and black. Her nose is pointed. She is a kind woman. She helps Skeeter make a book because she wants to make her community get same treatment as white people. 2. Minnie Jackson. She was born in Belzoni, Mississippi. Physically, her skin is black. Her hair is black and straight. Her nose is pointed. She is fat. She is Mississippi's greatest chef. She is the best friend of Evelyn. She is a brave woman. She defies the rules of her employer even though she should be fired. She is maid of Mrs. Healy's family. Mrs. Healy treats her unjustly. Mrs. Healy fires Minnie because she knows that Minnie pees in her toilet. 3. Eugenia Skeeter Pillen. She is good woman. She decides to write a book from the point of view of the maids to expose the racism. Skeeter requires Evelyn to help. She is white skin, but she cares with black skin. She wants to help black skin in order to get the same position with white skin. B. Minor characters. The one is Haley Walters Holbrook. Haley is an evil woman. She is beautiful and all this. Her skin is white. Her hair is blonde and curly. She is leader of white skin. She hates black skins. She thinks that black skins is lower class. She always treats her mates badly. 2. Elizabeth Leafold. Elizabeth is the employer of Evelyn. She is beautiful and middle-aged woman. Her skin is white. Her hair is blonde and straight. She is good and stolid. She has a baby named May Mobley, but she never cares with her baby. She is busy with her career. She trusts that Abilene can care her daughter well. 3. Celia Ray Footy. Celia is the second employer of Minnie. She is beautiful woman. Her skin is white, her hair is blonde or curly. She is middle-aged woman. She is so friendly and cheerful. Celia treats Minnie well because she cannot cook. She learns cooking from Minnie, but she is nervous to never husband that Minnie becomes her maid. B is setting. A. Setting of place. The setting of place is the place where the actions must take place. It is taken in Jackson, Mississippi. Another place is at the Jackson, a publisher of controversy between white skin and black skin. And then Hilly's come, it is the place of Christmas celebration. There are many people who come in the party. The event is glorious. The meeting room of black skin, it is the place of black skin for meeting and the place where Abilene gets an award from her community. The last one is the meeting room of black people. B. Setting of time. The Help movie is during 20th century. The first action is taken 1916. C. Plot. A. Exposition in this movie. The exposition is when Skeeter decides to write a book from the point of view of the mates to expose the racism. Skeeter requires Abilene to help. B. Complication. The complication of this movie is when Abilene does not help her because she is afraid of being scolded, her friends, and losing from her job because she wants to raise the degree of her community. She wants to her Skeeter. She invites her friends. Her friends are afraid, but she persuades her friends. C. Climax. The climax of this movie is when the mates tell about the treatment from their employers. Their story becomes a book. The employers buy and read the book. They are very angry after reading the book because the book tells about the treatment from their employers. After the Christmas celebration, Hilly hatches a planning to get free the treatment from their employers. They are very angry after reading the book because the book tells about the treatment from their employers of Abilene as Leafold made by falsely accusing her of stealing silver. Abilene is fired by her employer because she cannot prove that she does not steal. D is a resolution. The resolution is the book becomes bestseller and Abilene gets an award from her community because of the book, although she is fired by her employer. D is point of view. The Help movie does not the third person 11 narrator. Every plot and every event are told by dialogue among the characters. A theme. Theme becomes the important part in the movie. It gives color of the movie. The theme of the Help movie is women are equal. Okay, chapter 4 will be explained by Rani.
The last chapter is chapter 4. It's about the conclusions. In the study, the problem studied was how the descriptions of racism in the Help film. The method used is a descriptive approach with semiotic analysis research methods. The subjects of research in this film are audio in the form of dialogue between players, transition music, and background of this film, and visuals in the form of photos, videos, subtitles in Indonesian, setting place and time, and body or gesture language. Based on the result of the study, behavior found that racist the attitude of racism, namely prejudice, stereotypes, and discrimination, and the belief that your own culture, your own nations, or your own religion itself is more great and superior compared to others. The conflict of racism that occurred in 1960 was raised again in the film The Help in 2011, because there was a possibility that the community had begun to forget the events of racism that had ever happened. Forget this was marked by the United States Supervisory Board against the Anti-Racism Conference initiated by the United Nations, Universal Nations in September 2011. Researchers give suggestions with the existence of films with the theme of racism, such as The Help, can be used as a reference for the community in changing negative views about Black people, thinking of being more both and be more human to fellow human beings. The community becomes more respectful, appreciating, and loving each other. Because it is really beautiful to unite the differences because of the negative prejudice regarding. A group will only cause frictions, divisions, and arguments in the community. The way the major players tackle racism in Mississippi was to write a book that recounted the cruelty and injustice of white people towards Black people. Although through a process that is not easy, but they managed to achieve their goals. That's it about our mini research assignment about the movie Help. Thank you for your attention and good afternoon.